some questions for you. Hey, brave girl, how you do the things that you do?
Welcome to the Brave Talk Show. Brave woman, bold topics, nothing is off the table. In today's episode, we are talking about sleepovers. We are gonna dive in, we're gonna get deep, we're gonna talk about our own personal experience, if we have sleepovers, if we don't. And hopefully, you guys can also let us know what you do. It's gonna be a great episode. We're gonna hopefully educate, give some information that we've learned. We have the safety queen right here. So, get ready for the next episode. It's a powerful episode. If you like it as much as we think you will, smash that subscribe button so you can connect with us on the future episode as well. First, we are going to do our favorite segment. Who's ready for it?
I'm always ready for you, Vanessa.
Vera's ready. You guys always ready for me? Okay, so this is just kind of like Robin's
moral dilemma.
Oh, more
but it's like,
moral
what
dilemmas.
would you do? You know, like the whole
Would
beach
you
thing.
rather?
Exactly. So it's like, what would you do, right? Okay. So the thing is, the scenario is, okay, you married to your husband, but your husband has a twin. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
And in
man.
the night, you all got together at your house. The brother-in-law came over, and you all got drunk, really drunk. All three of you get wasted, and you sleep with somebody, and you wake up, you just don't know who you slept with. Like,
my
was it your
goodness.
husband? Was it your twin brother-in-law? But now you're pregnant, and the timing kind of matched the whole drunk episode.
What?
And so they're identical, so it's kind of hard to find out who's the father. Then you ask your husband, you're like, hey, do you remember what happened the other night? Like, after we all got drunk, they're like, no, we fell asleep downstairs, that's it. You talk to the brother-in-law, like, casual, hey, do you remember anything about that night? Like, and he's like, no, like, I don't remember nothing. Nobody knows, but she knows she slept with somebody, and now she's pregnant. What do you do if that's you? Do you tell your husband that, you know, because she says she knows that it might have been the brother, because the husband, you know your husband, right?
Where is this going?
Is this a true story?
It's a true story.
Is this like on an episode of Ricky Lake or something?
It's
like
a true
that?
story.
What is
It's
this
a
on
true
Maury?
story.
Like, are you the father?
So, would
The
you
Maury
tell
Povich soap.
somebody anonymously post? I follow a page. They post this anonymously.
Man.
Would you tell your husband?
It's not you, V. Don't worry. It's not you.
It's not you.
He's 100%
Would you
You
tell-
have a
crazy.
suspicion that you might have slept with
You
your
know, I think
brother-in-law.
they say they know it's a brother-in-law.
Neither of them know.
Nobody remembers the
Nobody
night.
remembers, so it's just up to you.
They're identical brothers. So that means, like, even if you had to do a DNA test, you're really not gonna know. So, do you go to the grave with her because there's no way they're gonna know and the child's gonna look? Or do you just like, I'm gonna fess up?
So I think what I would do is I wouldn't get a DNA test so that I don't know for sure, and I would just hope that I picked the right one, and that's it. Life goes on.
Would you tell?
I think trust, I would never be in this situation. I know.
Yeah.
But I think in that, like, hypothetical story, like, if nobody remembered, you only have a suspicion, you're not sure, maybe,
Keep it to yourself.
it's like, why go get the DNA test to be sure? Like, why not just, that way you don't know, right? Like, I'd want to keep my conscience as clear as possible, you know, like, I'm just not going to, like, validate or any of that. And I'm just going to, I think I would just, like, keep
Go
it
to your
going.
grave.
What would you do?
I think, like, I would try to go to my grave, but there will be, like, one time I'll be like, I think I slept with your brother. Just bust it out.
I also don't ever see myself being in this situation.
Me neither.
But in this hypothetical,
That's funny because I do. I can totally see myself.
I think I would say something like, you don't remember what happened last night? And talk to both of them. Okay, I don't either, but for some weird feeling, like, I feel like we might have accidentally slept with the wrong person. Did anyone else get that vibe? No, we're cool, everyone's cool. Okay, good, moving on. I would just, like, mention it and be like, am I crazy? Like, did anyone else feel like you were with the
so
wrong
drunk.
spouse? And if they're like, nah, then we're like, cool.
All right, then we're
Me
going to just
either.
go with it.
Yeah.
So
That's a good way to kind of eliminate that.
you're like,
Yeah,
it's not like I didn't bring it up.
Right, like, I asked if no one else is, and if he's like, yeah, I kind of thought, we're like, oh my gosh, sorry, husband, like, what happened here? We're all wasted. Should have done that. Like, I would bring it up just to see whatever.
And this is an after-school special to help you remember, do not get drunk.
Yes.
What about you?
I can't keep secrets. Like, it would eat me.
See, you would bust it out
it would
just like
turn
that.
me into a different person. And so I don't think I would I don't know. I just can't keep secrets. I would.
So, but what would it be? Like, would it be like this is not your baby, or would this be like I think this is what we did? We should get a DNA test to make sure and then find out.
So rare.
I don't know. I think I would let my husband go that route, like, because I think I would be like, is it really important to you to find out if the baby isn't yours or what? But I think it might. Like, I think I did sleep with him. And I can't even believe this is coming up. I know. This is not something that my husband would be like, Brittany. That I'm even talking about this. But yeah, I think I would say, I don't care. Like, the baby's yours.
Right.
You're my husband. You're the dad of my kids. If you need a DNA test for you, then we'll go get one. But otherwise, no.
Yeah.
Well,
I like your answer the best.
Really?
I hope that I would choose
I like yours.
I like my answer the best.
I do
Get
like yours the
everyone
best.
involved and just be like, does anyone else get this weird vibe that we swapped the wrong person? And if everyone's like,
And get you some.
no, then be like, cool, I mentioned it off. And if there's like
Yeah.
suspicion, then we can talk about it and everyone's involved. Like, you know.
Yeah, and I
Let's
think
talk
I
about
like
some new
both of them
friends.
because like part of me is like
Oh.
I want to second guess myself to be like that didn't happen, like that wouldn't,
Right.
like just because you think it might have doesn't mean that it did.
Right.
So why like add drama to
Right.
some place where it's not really for sure anyway?
Right.
So
It's a good answer.
you know,
Or you could even just be like, guys, I had the craziest dream. Like, I woke up and I like had a dream that I slept with the wrong person. Like, anyone else have that dream? No, we're good.
Okay, we're
awesome.
good.
No one else felt that.
That's your way to ease your conscience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like
Thanks
it. I
for
like
playing,
it.
ladies.
That was good. That was
Yeah.
completely unexpected. I was not expecting that hypothetical. Kind of fun.
all right, Vanessa, what's your answer? You can't get out of here with
I
that.
did. I
said.
would just
She
bust
said
it
she
out.
bust
I would be
out.
like,
Oh, yeah.
I would not say anything, but at one point, like, I would be looking
30
like,
years
oh my
later.
gosh.
It'll come out at some point.
At
is
one
what you're
point, it's
saying.
gonna come out. I don't know when and
Graduation.
how.
I don't think that's your son. I think that's actually your nephew. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be.
So terrible. I want to hear what people have to say in
I
the
know.
comments. What would you do, guys? Oh, that's
that's very
terrible.
well.
Oh, that poor woman.
Right?
That's a real
Tell you,
story.
it's a real story. Like I followed this post, and that was like the anonymous, and then people were like,
And so what
"Go
did
to your
she
grave, too. Go to your grave, girl. Don't say nothing." Like,
Oh.
I want if that woman watches our show,
God
right?
bless.
It me. In the comments, like, it me, not me.
Hit me. What's our topic on today, guys?
sleepovers.
Oh,
This is
And I
good.
think
We've
we've talked
started
about
this on our
this before.
Instagram.
And
passing.
so, first question is, do you allow sleepovers? I think we had a hot topic that
Yeah.
we kind of did that. So
if I remember right, we're all pretty on the
Yeah.
similar page.
I think it was.
I have allowed sleepovers. It's very rare, and every time it's like honestly like, should we
by
do this or
case.
not? Like
Right,
kind of a
right,
thing. So I haven't made a hard fast rule. It's very much of like a follow your gut kind of in this moment. Most of the time the answer is no. Most of the time.
So what are your kids? Because I know my kids, like, we have to have a hard rule. So we're like, don't even ask. Like,
Yeah.
the answer's no.
Yeah.
Because then they would just try to negotiate and persuade me and be like, well, she did it that one time. So how do you deal with that in your kids? Do your kids do
So-
that, or are my kids just little terrorists?
It hasn't been an issue enough for me to have to make one because they just don't ask very often. So
That's 24/7.
So like my son Kanan, like I don't recall him. Maybe like we've had sleepovers at our house. Like I'm always fine with that because I trust myself. Obviously, I'm a good person. And so, but we have had some of his friends not like their parents were like, no, we just don't do that. It was like, okay, well you can leave at 10. And then Jameson maybe once he's had a sleepover. I think it was at the neighbor's house. And it was because it was a bunch of kids. It wasn't him sleeping over by himself. It was like a slumber party. And I know the mom, and she's great. And so I just, because of the context of it being a lot of kids there, I felt like it was okay. The only one that we have that tends to want to do sleepovers more often is Benjamin, and it's just one friend that he does want to do sleepovers with. We try most of the time to have him come over our house. Every once in a while, Ben will go over there. I know the mom, I know the dad. I mean, you're right. There's a risk, but I've met them enough times, and we've hung out enough times that I feel like they're trustworthy people, and so that's how we've done it. I haven't had Scotland had a sleepover yet. She's only 7, and she's a girl, so I feel like girls can be. I might be wrong, but I don't know. I'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. She hasn't asked yet. I'm interested in this discussion.
Yeah,
you might.
I
You guys might
disagree
get
with a
into
couple of the
place.
things that you do. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have a few things too, because the thing is, we there's people that do sleepovers and people that doesn't sleepovers. So then in my profession, we have to kind of like create a safety, we call it safety plan for those that does sleepovers. So we'll kind of talk on that safety plan later. But do you do sleepovers?
Have my children had sleepovers? Yes. Is it most of the time? No. Yes. Same thing. There has been circumstantials, like they sleep over at my parents sometimes when I'm out of town. They have slept over at one specific neighbor, which also is my very closest friend.
Yeah.
We travel together. We do everything. Not that that's an exception.
Yes, you know that it's still risk.
Right, and
you
it's
know?
only happened a few times, but most of the time it was at my house. And at the time that it was at her house, I was never ever worried. She is legitimately like my sister.
Yeah.
And it's not her that I would ever be worried about. It's actually other kids at her house, and like her kids are young, so there's not like an older scary brother or a cousin. But if there was ever she had like her nephews over, no. So it's very circumstantial, like where, who, but I can count on my hands the number of times my oldest has, and my little kids are all too small. So generally overall, my kids know not to ask me, but there have been circumstances where, again, I went with my gut, I did my research, I felt safe, and then I even still prepped my kids, like, hey, just so you know, like, no one's ever allowed to take you in the other room alone. If anyone touches you inappropriately, you shouldn't be talking about these type of things. Like, I give them the spiel, even if those at my very
I've had
best
the same
friend's house.
conversations.
And
yeah.
I'm actually opposite. Like, it's a hard, fast no if there's other kids there.
Really?
Yeah. Growing up with me, like, I had sleepovers and at slumber parties with other people, like lots of kids, like cheer parties. That's when like the stuff happened. That's when weird stuff was happening.
Do you mean between the kids?
Uh-huh.
Okay, because I guess I
Yeah.
never considered it between the kids. Mine was
Yeah.
like the adults wouldn't because there's kids and there's like more people involved.
Yeah, actually, like the adults for sure are issues, but in my head too, it's the other kids. And like if anyone's like, there's been so many stories. This didn't happen to me, but like, you know, they brought over a cousin or an older brother had a friend. Like it's outside people that we can't control or know there. And so when there is a group of other kids, it's an absolute no.
Interesting.
My cousin's stepson just died at a sleepover with a bunch of kids. Such a good kid. Somebody brought something. It reacted to it like it was some type of
Drug?
I can't even remember what it was. Like some type of prescription. So it was like a drug, but he didn't know like everybody else took it.
Were
It was
these
fine.
teenagers?
Oh. He took it and died. He didn't wake up in the morning,
Oh,
and we
that's
all found
horrible.
him. Like
My
it
gosh,
was.
that is
They all need
horrifying.
therapy. Like it was terrible.
Wow.
And
Traumatizing.
it's those type of situations that it's like it's a hard no for me. Like there's no situation where
That would be worth it.
that is worth it.
Yeah.
Like just, and I actually, after we did this as a hot topic on one of the episodes, I went and researched it a little bit, and they've done a ton of studies where it's
not,
just like,
yeah.
it's just not worth it. Like,
Yeah.
did I grow up having sleepovers? Yes.
Yeah.
Were they fun and safe?
Yes.
For the most part, yeah. Like, did we run out in the street and play night games and that kind of stuff? Yeah, like,
Yeah.
as a mom, that would terrify me because I'm so controlling. But it's just not worth it for my kids. They can have late nights. We have a little movie room in our house. Like, we have kids over till midnight sometimes.
We do a ton of late
That's
night.
great.
Have
But
your
then
kids
go
ever
home.
had one though? Ever?
My daughter slept in the neighbor's our next door neighbor's backyard in a tent once. And that's it. They sleep over at my parents' house, but that's it. Like not at my in-laws' house. They don't sleep over at.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
So
I
your
would definitely-
parents,
cousins.
so no, your parents, but not your in-laws.
because my in-laws live far away.
Oh, okay. I was like,
It's not
I
like
don't know if that
anything
was like
about character.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay.
I would definitely say for teenagers, for sure, I could see trouble with other kids because now, like, once you get into the zones where you can start playing truth or dare, and there's like interest in kissing and things like that, to me, that's all dangerous. I haven't thought about that with my kids when we had the sleepovers, just because they were all like,
Young.
we're talking like 9-year-olds.
I remember going to a cheer sleepover, and I was in 5th grade, so that's 10. And it was all girls, right? My parents knew their family, good family, but there was like 12 other girls there. I remember at one point, one girl went upstairs and got a butcher knife and came down and was like just joking, but she's like, I'm gonna kill you guys. And things got like really weird. And then I remember that specific night, like I heard and learned things for the first time
From the other kids.
that I never knew. Like words and like things about like periods and like sexual things and like, and it was like fun girls talking, but like I would have never learned and heard about that had I just been one-on-one with, because they were like people that I didn't necessarily associate with, but they were on my cheer team. And I would have never had that conversation with them at cheer.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, absolutely no group sleepover type of situation. I'm still a hard no, but have my kids had sleepovers? Less than 10 times, my oldest, and it's been with one specific person or my parents. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very controlling on that.
Yeah, and I think that for me, sleepovers, we've never done friends, never. I think when it kind of you, like my best friend's like my sister, like we raised all our kids together.
Right.
And when I go out of town, that's who watch my kids.
Right.
So like that's the person I trust, my in-laws, and then like they did the cousin once, and that's like once
Yeah,
again
we have
she's
done the cousins a few
like
times.
once, and it's just because I feel like she's like me. She's like, I will kill somebody. Like we do kind of the same, kind of very training and stuff like that. But for us, any like sleepover, my kids know not to. I said my kids don't. This is the thing about our kids. Like we're different. Our family make fun of us. We always have our kids no matter where we're going, like trips and stuff like that. So our kids are very like tied
Attached
to
to you,
us.
yeah.
So it's like sleepover. It's not something that they ask for when it comes
'Cause
to
they don't
friends.
wanna leave or-
yeah, and then
yeah.
when they go to
Aw,
babies,
love
even
that.
when they go to parties, like somebody will call me like, okay, I'm done, and the party's not even over yet. Like
Yeah.
she just like they love being home, but. And then for me, I also work as a social worker. So I
was
see
going to
things-
ask you. I was going to
I
ask
see
you.
things.
yeah.
So sleepover like is a whole different things for me because the things that we see, it's something you can control because kids when they're young and you're having sleepovers, especially when they don't have the ability to speak, and because adults are very persuasive. Like a lot of the cases that we see in younger kids, if mom let them sleep over and find out, it's like those kids were told not to say anything, like like this is okay and this is
Threatened
normal,
or-
and
yeah.
and so parents never even know. And this time these kids are sleeping. When you think of sometimes all kids, they're also like on so many medication, like the kids that are in care because of trauma, they sleep through things. So sometimes like people were assaulting them
take
and they
it
didn't
back.
even know that they're being assaulted. You know what I mean? And so, and once again, the kids, you worry about who they're hanging out with, drugs and stuff like that. So sleepover is scary to me because that's the most vulnerable time for the young ones.
Yeah.
But then when you move to the teenager aspect, is then teenagers bullying each other. There's a story that came out, and it was one of a training we had. These kids befriend this kid that they didn't like and invite to sleepover, and they end up like assaulting this kid and even end up hurting this kid.
That's so
You know, and like left in the side of the road, like because they thought it was funny, right? And so, like for me, my kids, exactly. It's like so. There's just like so many things that can go wrong that you just have to be careful. But now we have this whole community of people that are like against the people that say no sleepovers.
I know.
That we have to also talk about because they're like, you're taking the fun away from it. Like not everybody's gonna be the same. Not everything's gonna be this. So it's like if you want to do sleepovers, there's way about it, but you have to follow your gut.
But here's like my logic. I'm like, take away worst case scenarios. Take away the fact that your kid didn't get raped or molested at a sleepover. Why is a sleepover good? They're supposed to be asleep, right? Nothing good happens. Like your
Yeah,
kids are welcome
true.
to stay at my house till midnight and party and have the social. Like
Come
we're
back
not,
in the morning.
We're not these mean parents who our kids don't have social events. Okay, now when it's bedtime,
You should be
it's
sleeping.
no longer helpful to be sleeping with another kid because A, you're losing sleep. B, you're probably doing nothing good. You're talking about narratives and things I don't want in my house. You're touching each other. You're sneaking out. You're playing night games and endangering yourself because you get hit by a car. Like, here we go. If you want to have sleepovers, cool. Late nights till 12. But when it's time to sleep, why do they need to be together?
That's a really, really good point.
Like, there's nothing important about them sleeping
Because every
together.
time my son does have a sleepover, he always is grumpy the next day
Yeah,
because
they
he
don't
was
even
up
sleep.
all night.
It's not
They don't
healthy
sleep.
for
And they
them.
do games like who can stay up the longest, you know?
Like, how is that good for our kids?
And it just makes our life miserable the next
Yeah.
day. Half the time he's like passed out. Wow.
Nothing
So it's
good
to
ever
make some-
happens at a sleepover. I've never had someone be like, you know what? When I was 16 and I had a sleepover, I had a conversation with a friend that changed my life in the middle of the night at 3. No one ever
I think
has.
it's just. I think people think
Yeah.
about it. Like I'm just saying, for advocates for other people, it's just they talk about it's like the experience, right? But like you said, the experience happened until midnight.
But once
then
the
you can
eyes
go
shut,
home when the eyes
you
shut.
should sleep in your own bed. If you're sleeping, there's no more experience
But I
together.
think the thing to look at, if you
Yeah.
do want to do sleepover, you have to have safety plan. Those
100%.
hard conversations, like right, like especially parents, because a lot of the time, if you think of sleepovers, the kids come over, parents feed them and give them drink, and then they go to bed. They don't
Right.
pay attention to what's happening out down
And what
there.
video games are they playing? What
Exactly.
shows are they watching on
And
TikTok?
whose
talking,
room
are
are
they
you
playing
sneaking
doctor?
in?
Are
So
they-
there have to be like boundaries. So because a lot of the kids sometimes they're like, I just want to stay at my friend's house. So the rules that we always do, it's like, okay, parents always have to exchange for numbers, so they know that that's where you're gonna stay. Because there's some kids go there and they don't even know that the kid is supposed to be there.
There's no way in hell I would allow my children to sleep at someone's house that I didn't have
Oh,
their phone
people
number.
are doing. People
I know,
do
but I'm
it
like, for real?
all the time.
Like, Why would
I
you
don't
send
like
your
my
house
daughter's tried
somewhere?
using the argument like you trust them, you know them, they're good friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's great, but the answer's still no. Like for me in parenting, it's so much easier to just have a clear, universal answer where it's not like, well, maybe let me think about it. Like, no, we just don't do sleepovers because the exact
Yeah.
same reason. Like,
There's actually so
have
many
as many
reasons.
late nights as you want.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll buy the pizza, I'll buy the soda, I'll
You
buy
guys
the
want to go
chips.
toilet papering? I'll take you.
Yes.
Literally, I would be that mom.
Let's do it.
I really would.
Sure.
Like, let's have these social fun
Yeah.
experiences. If you want to sneak out, go do it, and I'll watch
Let's
from
bring
my car.
back toilet
Like,
papering.
You know, for
I
real,
know,
did it
but these
not too
parents,
long
I want to
ago.
do it, and I think that's you have to just create safety because, like I said, some parents is case by case, right? You trust somebody, you know that person, that's your best friend, and you know what's happening. Like it's just creating those safety rules, like you know, having those hard conversation that you say all the time. Your body, like this is your part, this is what it is, and then with the parents, it's in the living room, right? Somewhere where we all are able to see that everybody's there. Phone is tuned in, like when you know this parent sheet is just like phones are tuned in by this time, so no phone. Y'all put a
Yeah.
movie in.
Now where you're
So
preventing
if-
them from getting on the phone
exactly.
and
So
doing
then the
whatever.
phone is off. So then it's like in the living room where our parents is able to, and they do like a checkup on the making sure. Most of these parents have ring doors or anything, so they're able to see if anybody's sneaking out.
Yeah.
No internet like available to them, and you put a movie in, and then you have to go to bed. Everybody needs to be in sleep by this time, right? And then when you leave, I think as a parent, if you do send your kids to a sleepover, it would be good to the next day to be like, hey, how was it? Like, you know, like kind of have that conversation just if anything that happened. And then if your kid's like, yeah, I don't want to do it again, that's something you may want to like follow up on and see those signs. But like we all, like I said, there's a whole community that's against it. Like we've gotten like
Yeah.
things like from people even with this year that says like, you guys are saying no sleepovers, like why? Like, you know, like based on training. But like if you can create a safety plan for your case by case, because there will be time there is a case by case,
Yeah.
then put that safety plan in.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
you should just send your kids like, see you later, like
Right.
have fun at the neighbors,
Yeah.
and then statistic is just a lot happens. in
A lot
sleepover
happen-
that
like,
week.
Even with family. And so
Yeah.
that's why it's good to have the talk, even if you're
Yeah,
sending
the
your kids
safety
over to
plan is
family, because
good.
I think the
Yeah.
statistics show most of the time
It
it
is
is,
by a
a
family
family
member.
member.
My kids,
Yeah.
every time they even go to my parents or a cousin, which is rare, to sleepover. And in my head, sleepovers are like, logistically, I need another human to watch my children overnight because I'm leaving town.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, like it's more like
That's
not for a
me.
social
Not for fun,
experience.
it's
like
necessity.
I'm leaving, I'm going on a
I
trip
need
or whatever.
someone,
So like
yeah.
watch over my children while I'm gone. So that's why they
Yeah.
go to relatives. But like I still tell my kids, like, hey, just remember at grandma and grandpa's house for sleepovers, like no one takes you into a closed bedroom. No, make sure no sibling goes in a closed bedroom without you. I 1000% trust my parents. But here's
but
the
still
thing.
the conversation.
It's just teaching the kids like right away.
That's
It's
how you
teaching,
take that
it's
rule with
following
everyone.
up with my
Conversation
tricky
lots of
people
times.
thing that it doesn't matter who it is. It could be someone we love and trust. We still have rules and boundaries, and they apply to everyone. I have that same narrative if they're going to sleep over at this specific neighbors.
And
That's
if it makes
great.
it safe, like for us, like foster kids, the way that we do sleepover, if they're sleeping at anybody's home, that they have anybody 18-year-old or older, has to have a background check. So if any of our kids want to go to a friend's house, that 18 older have to give background check. So think about it like we're doing this for like kid, and as parents, of course, we can't do that. But that means we know everything about these people, and then if they have anybody that's coming in and out, they can't go to that home to sleep over because then it's like if I'm having my kids at my friend's house, I'm like, okay, if anybody gonna come over, like, there anybody visiting, even my in-laws, like,
Yeah.
because I don't. If you have
Yeah, you
people
wanna
coming
know
to
who's
visit
there.
while I'm gone, where my kids don't feel safe, like I'm away, like when we went to London, you know, I'm just like, I just want to make sure during that time you don't have anybody coming in,
Right.
so my kids are not in a position. And please don't let anybody watch my kid. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So
Yeah,
this
those are
is a
great.
conversation to have still. No matter what,
Yeah.
you know, it's and in statistic. If you look at the statistic, like Brittany said, the research, and I think I watched the video you sent. It's really,
Very high.
it's the thing. A lot of sexual assault and happen.
Yeah.
While in sleepovers, the
In
group.
speaking with
Yeah.
tens of thousands of women over the past 12 years, I can personally remember probably 1,000 times or more, a woman or a kid has come up to me and said I was assaulted or raped or molested at a sleepover.
Yeah, yeah.
It happens all the
It's
time.
high.
Yeah.
I think those conversations are so important too because I don't allow sleepovers, but my kids do go to camps
Yeah.
like
Oh.
FSY,
Church camps.
church camps,
Yeah, you
and
need to-
scout
yeah.
camps.
So I have a
There's-
question with that.
so
So where you
that's-
don't do
it's a big
sleepover
thing.
but allow the FSY, what's the
Is it
reasoning?
still better because it's like a
in
church,
church,
thing?
like why the reasoning? What makes it okay for that? I guess
That's a good question. So it's more structured and more programmed, and we do have those conversations with it where it's like, okay, this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I do want my daughter to have that experience. Like, she went to FSY this year, loved it, spent a week away at college dorms, made awesome friends.
I've heard of people getting raped at EFY.
For sure.
So, like, you still, like, I love that you allow that, and I will probably allow my child too to go to camps, but, like, we can't be naive to think that it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Because there's counselors and, like, I went to EFY every single year, and the lights are out, but we didn't go to sleep.
No, my daughter, even at camp up in the mountains, she said she's pulled an all-nighter. Like, she and 2 other friends were like, don't fall asleep, and they stayed awake all night. Like, that's why I bring it up, because it does create some discussion, right? Where, like, I'm a hard no on sleepovers, but then I allow them to go to camps.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, right.
And it's like I said, it's gonna be a case by case in what you're comfortable on. And I think the thing is, we all gonna do it differently. And I think the biggest thing is shaming other people, because that's the other thing. Like, if I don't do sleepover, that's okay.
Yeah.
And if you do sleepover, that's okay. So we just need to making sure that
Just doing it safely.
or like Cindy's mom doesn't care if she gets raped.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't be that girl.
To help your kids not always, like, feel disappointed, like, they always ask and you say no, or, like, other kids asking, like, can you have a sleepover? Just, like, be super open with your friends that your kids are managing or hanging out with. Like, hey, just know, like, we don't do sleepovers, or very rare. So, like, don't have your kids call and ask. Like, if my daughter's at your house and she calls and like, Mom, can I have a sleepover? I'm like, don't even allow her to make that call. Like, you know it's a no.
Right.
Yes.
Like, get on the
that's
same page with your neighbors.
That's good.
And then for me, again, it's a no overall statement, blanket no, but absolutely case by case. Like, I have to travel. I did have a sleepover the one time for my daughter's birthday, her 10th year birthday.
Yeah, I remember I saw
but
that.
most of the kids actually didn't sleep over. There's only like 4 that stayed, and I was home. I stayed down there. I managed it. But then at the same time, I was like so strict. I was like, lights out, no phones. And I'm like, that's not even fun. Like, why don't you just go home at 12? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the whole point of a fun sleepover, because I had them growing up, was like talking all night and learning about all the things and talking about boyfriends. Like, in my
that's
world,
why you
I'm
told
like,
them to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm like, you're going to bed, turning your phones. At that point, you're like, I'd rather be in my own bed. You know what I mean? So. This is a really good topic. Thanks, Vanessa.
Yeah, no, thank you. And give us your opinion in the comment. Let us know what you do, what you don't do, and what your safety plan looks like. All right, that's a wrap for this episode of the Brave Talk Show. If you're watching us on YouTube, there are more episodes you will love on that window to the right, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
I have some questions for you. Hey, Brave,